Hi guys, it's Molly with Soul School Tarot and Astrology, and today I am kind of trying out a different format. I am just going to be talking to you about the Venus and Neptune conjunction, which is actually currently square Mars in Sagittarius. Venus and Neptune are in Pisces. I'm going to go into what those energies are all about. This video is just, a little late getting out to you. It is probably already underway. In fact, the dates for this, it's actually three aspects going on at the same time, okay? Neptune is squaring Mars. It's joining up with Venus, and then Venus will be squaring Mars. So you see, it's just kind of this tag team of these energies in the sky taking place over January 25th, 26th, and 27th. So it is a little like, ideally I would have gotten this out to you a couple days ago, but it has been this Aquarius new moon was just a lot more powerful than I expected it to be. So just kind of like doing a whole lot of me lately, in order to just kind of maintain the energy levels that I need in order to be the healer and teacher that I am. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you are new to the channel, this is an Astro Forecast. Astro Forecast is just where I talk about the planetary energies. I really like to combine the power of astrology and tarot as much as possible. So throughout the video, as I talk about these planetary energies and the signs that they're in, I will also be referring to the tarot cards that are associated with these energies. If you are also a reader, or as you're watching the readings that I've put out for the new moon cycle, those actually are good until February 8th and essentially are really timeless. Whenever you discover it, I believe it is meant for you. But nonetheless, as you're watching those, several of these cards are cards that have come up in those readings. And so just kind of pay attention to those if you remember that any of these had any significance, or as you're moving forward, just kind of keep in mind the associations between the cards and the energies in the sky. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and break this down. And I'm first just going to talk about what the Venus and Neptune conjunction in Pisces is about. Then I will talk about Mars in Sagittarius energy and what it means that that planet is square the other two, Venus and Neptune. All right. So I will talk about what that means for each of us individually. And I will talk about what it means in the context of relationships. And I'll be referring to a pattern that I've seen coming up actually in the last few rounds of videos that I have released for you guys. So let's go ahead and jump into this. First thing I want to say is that Venus and Neptune are actually two different vibrations, two different octaves is what they say in astrology. It's terminology that's used of the same energy. All right. So they are both a divine feminine energy. So Venus is the feminine in the 3D realm. Okay, when I say 3D, I mean here in this terrestrial realm, the world that we live in our day-to-day lives. It is the mother, the sister, the friend, the lover, the just feminine energy embodied in the 3D world. Neptune is that same energy on like a goddess level, like on the spiritual level. Venus is an interpersonal planet, so it has to do with love, relationships, values, and valuables on the terrestrial plane. All right, so in the way that we interact with others. Neptune takes that energy and it's transpersonal, which means it transcends the individual and really looks at what are your notions of cosmic love, universal love? How do you believe love to exist? What is your relationship to the universe and to the divine, to your spiritual guides and partners and allies? What are your emotional and spiritual beliefs, and what are your intuitive gifts? How do you use those? That's the 5D, the spiritual realm, the manifestation of the same energy. Okay, so it's Neptune at the spiritual level and Venus at the mundane level. All right, so both of these planets, they're already going to vibe together really, really well. And in fact, this conjunction for a lot of feminine energies out there, what you're doing at this time is bringing these two into harmony with one another. Okay? Realizing the spiritual value of who you are, especially in reference to as a romantic partner. All right, you're beginning to understand that your spirituality, your emotional beliefs, your intuitive gifts, actually, you're realizing how these make you a valuable partner in the world. All right, so it's a connection between the 3D and the 5D, the mundane and the spiritual. And it's happening in Pisces. Pisces is ruled by the planet Neptune. So they're feeling like super at home there. Okay, that's like a really good energy, a really, really, really good vibe. But here's the thing about Pisces. Pisces, the glyph, meaning the, like the little image that it's drawn, it's the fish. Okay, and when you look at the not just the image, but the actual glyph itself, what's going on with these fish is they're actually tied together and swimming in different directions. One is heading towards the spiritual and one is heading towards the mundane. So when these two planets are together in Neptune, I feel like those two fish are in harmony. They're swimming the same direction. All right? So the power that you feel embodied in Venus, I'm going to go to tarot now. That's the Empress card. Okay? So you've got your Empress energy. You're growing your garden. Your garden is flourishing. Your emotions are flowing. Oh my gosh. I'm looking at this Morgan Greer. It's my meditation deck. The colors in it are so beautiful. There's this beautiful waterfall in the background. And it's just, she's growing wheat. She's growing lotus flowers. She's growing pomegranates. She's got cypress trees in the background, right? She's in her garden. She's very fertile. She knows her emotional and creative potential, but she's holding on to it right now. All right. Neptune is represented by the Hanged Man. So that's seeing things from a very spiritual perspective. Okay. Seeing things from a spiritual perspective. And really seeing one's own value from a spiritual perspective. And then Pisces is represented in the tarot by the Moon card. That is a card I have seen come up a lot. And I often forget that it's Pisces energy. And Neptune has been in Pisces for quite some time. It was retrograde for a while. All planets are currently direct until Mercury goes retrograde on February 17th. Fun fact. All right. But that's a very potent energy. And I'll tell you what, Neptune's been like the sleeper of all the planets in the sky. All right. Saturn and Pluto are doing their thing. Uranus just went direct, right? A lot of other planets are going through these major aspects. And Neptune's kind of like, oh, well, where's Neptune? But, oh, yeah, Neptune's still around. Okay, so it's time. It's time for us to really get into our Neptune energy and tap into our spirituality, find a way to bring it into harmony with the way we're living our day-to-day lives. All right, that's what this conjunction between Venus and Neptune and Pisces is all about. So during this time, and actually for some time following this conjunction, you're likely to find yourselves reviewing your values. Okay? Now, remember, the Empress rules Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Those are represented in the tarot by the Hierophant and the Justice card. Okay, so taking a reasonable approach, balancing that with your faith system, your belief system. Okay, and really checking in with your higher self to see if the values that you're holding yourself to on a daily basis are truly in alignment with your higher spiritual values and beliefs. Okay? So does the way that you participate in love resonate with the way that you view love on a cosmic level? Do your interactions with others represent the same energy that you seek to cultivate in the cosmic, in the collective consciousness? Okay? That's actually very, very important. The energies that we're carrying into all of our relationships and making sure that they resonate with that higher vibration. In fact, a lot of us have gone through a period where we're going through a renewal of relationships in our life. So in other words, we're shedding a lot of relationships that no longer match our vibration. And so keeping that vibration high, keeping your Empress at the Hanged Man level, right? Seeing things from a higher perspective, maintaining that energy is what's going to attract to you people who also carry that energy. All right? Because you don't want to attract low vibrational people to you. People who are carrying a lower vibration than you are. People who are working through karma that you've already mastered. You're not trying to bring that energy back in. Not in 2020, we're not. Okay? So this also has to do with jobs. What do you spend your money on? What values do you defend? And what values are you like, I'm just going to live and let live. Okay. So a lot of that is coming into play. And also, please understand this. Okay. It's an intuitive message that's coming in right now. Any of you guys who might be in separation with somebody you consider to be a twin flame or a soulmate, if you feel like you have any sort of telepathic or psychic spiritual link with that person, those boundaries are very porous at this time. That veil is very thin. Okay, so don't be surprised if you have some confusing dreams or thoughts, or kind of pick up just messages or emotions that don't feel necessarily like yours. There's also going to be a lot of mirroring at this time within relationships, so pay a lot of attention to that. Whatever energy you're carrying and emotions you're cultivating and entertaining are more likely to be mirrored back to you by your partners. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on and talk about Mars in Sagittarius, what that energy is like. Okay. By the way, I do want to step back one moment and say that Venus in Pisces, like right now, the Neptune energy is very, very, it's actually going to water down some of the things that we would see if it were just Venus in Pisces. All right. But Venus in Pisces would just be very, very dreamy. Very much looking at the world through rose-colored lenses, wanting to see the best in everything. But what's beautiful about this is I think that the way that energy is manifesting right now is in wanting to see the best in oneself. That's the energy that I think a lot of feminines are carrying, because a lot of us have been through some things. And if you've done your work and you've learned the lessons that were brought to you by the Pluto and Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, we're still feeling that energy. But a lot of that has to do with how you navigate through the world, how you present yourself and your power in the world. And a lot of you have actually come into enlightenment about how powerful you really are, how valuable you really are, how worthy of investment you truly are. Okay, so that is that's something I'm going to come back to, because there's a story I want to tell about Psyche and Cupid. And Psyche goes through this experience where she's abandoned, rejected, just betrayed by the masculine energies in her life over and over and over again. And what that does is that sets her on a path where she has to achieve these things on her own. And in the process of doing that, she comes to understand how valuable she is, how powerful she is. And in fact, that she is, in a way, kind of ascends from human to divine status in that process. So let's come back to that. But that's just what's going on with the divine feminines right now, okay? And also, in this series, or in this episode right now, like, as I am talking about the divine feminine and the divine masculine, understand that this can take place, this as within, so without. I might be talking about a relationship that resonates with you. I might be talking about the relationship between the divine feminine and the divine masculine within you. I might be talking about both. Okay, so Mars in Sagittarius is the masculine energy, the counterpart to Venus. It is an interpersonal planet, okay? The transpersonal Mars is actually Pluto. Y'all know Pluto is tied up with Saturn right now. He can't come. He's not here to help, okay? So Mars is in Sagittarius, and you would think that that's a good fit because Sagittarius is a fire sign. But here's the thing. Mars is all about drive. It's all about animal instincts, survive, protect, feed, fuck, fight, pardon my language. So that's what he wants to do. That's what Mars wants to do. Within us feminines, that's what Mars wants to do. It's present in all of us as well, okay? As well as it is in, people who are dominantly masculine energies. But here's the thing, when it's in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is a fire sign, but it's the most mature of the fire signs. It's really about, it seeks adventure and experience, but that are in alignment with authenticity, with higher ideals and beliefs, often in alignment with spirituality. Okay? So Mars tends to feel a little restless in Sagittarius. All right? And especially in this square with Venus and Neptune. Basically what's happening is Neptune is cranking up that Venus energy so much that it's really almost intimidating to the divine masculines out there. The emotions within and the emotions in the women that they partner with or other women in their family, daughters, sisters, friends, mothers, whoever it is, okay? It's such a strong, if you are an upright Empress right now, your psychic and emotional energy can be very overwhelming to anybody who doesn't have firsthand experience of that. Okay, if you're an inverted Empress right now, okay, so in other words, if you're feeling some sort of blockage when it comes to the flow of emotions, the flow of creativity, if you are having a hard time performing self-care, if you're just kind of blocked in your healing process and your creating process, then what this aspect is doing to you is it's making you appear overly emotional to the emperor who does not have the firsthand experience of that. Okay, so it's intimidating and it's overwhelming. And also what's happening is the Sagittarius energy, okay, Mars energy in the tarot is actually represented by the Tower card. Okay, there's the Tower card, and Sagittarius is represented by the Temperance card. One is chaos and one is peace. One is disruption and one is healing. One is a very sudden shift in perspective, and the other is a gradual synthesis of different ways of viewing an issue. These two cards are almost polar opposites. So Mars in Sagittarius sounds like a good idea, but it doesn't really work out that way. It doesn't feel very good, okay? Now, the Emperor is the card. It's actually, the Emperor is not associated with Mars, it's associated with Aries, but it is the card in the tarot which is used to represent the divine masculine. So he has been showing up in a lot of readings, okay? But what he's going through right now is a lot of what I've been seeing is a divine masculine who wants to rush forward towards something, but is being made to slow down, to learn his lessons, to see the bigger picture. And this is aided, even though it's uncomfortable to him, because that's what a square is. A square is an uncomfortable planetary aspect. It is tension that we can grow from. So it's uncomfortable growth. All right. The Emperor does not feel good in his Venus and Neptune energy, but that's what he's being faced with right now because he's being forced to slow down. He's being forced to slow down. This is what Jupiter wants. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Okay. So that's the goal, is to get the Emperor to slow down. You can't go towering around just yet. What you've got to do is you've got to temper. You've got to go through this Sagittarius energy. Now, this Venus and Neptune square, what's going on in that process is that, like I said, the Emperor may actually be starting to experience some intuitive and psychic gifts in a way that he doesn't understand. Okay. And by the way, the Emperor doesn't have to be an actual, like, biologically assigned male, right? It's just like we have emperors in each of us. But for, some people in the world, their emperor, they're masculines, that's their dominant, that's their vibe. All right. So what's going on is it's forcing them to look at the ways in which they have suppressed their own inner feminine, their own emotions, their own psychic gifts, their own emotional beliefs. Okay, because the Emperor likes to rule from a place of reason. All right, he leaves all the touchy-feely stuff to the Empress. But there's so many stories I've been telling in which these two are not in alignment right now. In relationships, they're not connected. They're not in contact. They're not speaking to each other or communicating to each other. And I think that, I believe as within, so without. So if that's what's happening in your relationship, look at what's happening within you, okay? Because we cannot control or change what's going on within other people. We can only take care and heal. We can't, we can only heal what's within us. All right? But especially if you're in a soulmate or a twin flame type or any sort of spiritual connection, a connection that you feel is spiritually and karmically valuable to you, there's really going to be a lot of mirroring going on. So as the divine feminine, you continue to take care of yourself and cultivate yourself and heal yourself. It becomes easier for the Emperor to mirror that energy. All right? Because it's uncomfortable territory for the Emperor. But you look at the base of this tower and you've got these waves crashing up all over the place. That represents all the repressed emotion that they're being forced to look at right now. But the Temperance card is about calming those waters. Okay? So it's a very, very significant, like I said, a powerful opportunity for healing for everybody. Whether you're in a relationship, if you're single, if you're working on the relationship within, if you are in a connection that's not currently in union, like whatever you're going through, this is an opportunity to heal. Okay. But here's a story that has been emerging. By the way, real quick, I do want to say that this Mars, Venus square, it hasn't happened since March 2019, so actually March 21st. It was a fixed square, meaning Venus was in Aquarius, Mars was in Taurus. Those are both fixed signs. And that the sun is currently in Aquarius and Uranus is in Taurus, and those squared each other on the 25th, I believe. So there's just a lot of synchronicities here, a lot of signs pointing to the fact that this is very important. Another thing that makes me feel like this is an important aspect to pay attention to is this: Venus is going to square up with Mars again in June. Venus will be retrograde in Gemini. So y'all, I'm just saying, watch out for that energy. That's going to be a fun energy to watch. Probably, it might not be so fun to participate in, but it'll be fun to watch. Mars at that time will actually be in Pisces, which is where Venus is right now. All right. So any progress that the masculines can make, or our own masculine energy can make towards tapping into this Neptune energy, if you fail to do that, it's going to come up again in June. If you succeed, you're going to make better use of that energy when it comes around again in June. All right. And then, you guys, this energy on September 4th, Venus squares Mars again. Venus will be in Cancer, my natal placement, but also that's represented in the tarot by the 12 cups. It's about two hearts coming together, all right? Is going to be squared up with Mars in Aries, which is not only its home sign, but it represents in tarot the Two of Wands. Two energies coming together, planning, moving forward, okay? Twin flames. All right. That's very, very powerful. And then as soon, like just a couple days after that, that's September 4th, a couple days after that, Mars is going to go retrograde. So just let me say that this Venus square Mars energy is significant now, and it's going to be coming back up in 6 months and then again a couple months later. So this is not the last of it. But remember, the most important thing is as within, so without, okay? And that is ultimately the lesson when it comes to soulmate relationships, okay? So let me talk a little bit about that and about the myth of Cupid and Psyche. The myth of Cupid and Psyche comes from Roman mythology. It is a love story. Cupid is divine. He is the son of Venus, actually the goddess of love, who's definitely very much something that we've been talking about today, right? And Psyche, he represents a divine masculine who, as we'll see throughout the story, really has a lot of shadow work to do. Okay? And throughout the process of the story, it's not really a central part of the story. So I'm going to do some kind of projection there, some interpretation about the kind of shadow work that Cupid has to go through. Psyche is a mortal. She's a human woman who is so freaking perfectly gorgeous that people actually call her the mortal Venus. Okay, so she represents love and beauty the same as Venus does. Okay, so we're talking about the 3D divine feminine coming in contact with the 5D divine feminine. All right? Yeah, exactly. You guys, it was so amazing. I asked Spirit to guide me to a story that was going to help me understand this transit, and I got this story, and it's so much in alignment with the kinds of readings that I have been doing for the last couple of moon cycles. So let's go ahead and dive into that story. Psyche has some shadow work to do too, because it's not at all her fault that she's born freaking gorgeous and perfect. But what happens is that she's super intimidating to all mortal men. So this is old patriarchal Roman times, and dad's all freaked out because he can't find his daughter a husband. And by the way, the father is another representation of the divine masculine. And in fact, for feminines growing up, relationships with the father, the absence of the father, any issues surrounding the father, or, anything positive or negative surrounding the father is going to, it creates a filter through which they see all future divine masculines. Okay. So he can't figure out, he can't get his daughter married off, so he's got to figure out what to do. He goes to Apollo. He goes to the Oracle at Delphi. Apollo is the god of truth and wisdom and reason and enlightenment and prophecy. And also, religious figures can represent divine masculines and shape a feminine energies, a feminine perspective of all future divine masculines. Okay, so understand. Okay, Psyche is in a situation where father doesn't know what to do, goes to Apollo. Apollo is like, you know what, bro, just take your loss. I'd just leave her on a cliff somewhere and let her marry whatever demon serpent comes along. Ouch. Ouch. Even worse, her father takes that advice. Ouch. Ouch. She has been let down. She has been betrayed. She has been abandoned by two masculine figures already. Her father and the god Apollo. Ouch. So Psyche does what she can. She's like, all right, I guess I just chill on this cliff here and wait for my demon serpent husband to come along. And she's whisked away to this palace, and this unseen voice comes to her. She's got like this, psychic sense that comes to her and says, walk within, go within the palace, go within the bedroom. It is dark, but your lover, your husband awaits you there. So she's like, all right, I guess this is my jam. At least we're in a castle, not on a cliff. So she goes in. It's completely dark, but she's feeling around, and she's like, ooh, this doesn't feel like a demon serpent to me. This is a nice, fine, soft-skinned man, and they make love, and it's wonderful, and they talk, and everything's great. She's like, oh my God, this is not bad at all. But, it's dark and everything. Can I see your face? And he says, no. Never. Never. You can't ever see my face. That's just a part of our jam. She's kind of like, all right, I guess it's better than a demon serpent. Okay, so, she's doing what she can do. None of this is a fault of her own. She's doing what she can do. This affair goes on, and he remains in the dark. He remains behind this mask, okay? He, by the way, it's Cupid. It's Venus's son the whole time. He has secretly always been in love with her, but he's almost ashamed of that because he doesn't really believe that gods and humans can fall in love with each other. He goes around the world and he gets humans to fall in love with each other. He could have made any man in the world fall in love with Venus. I'm sorry, fall in love with Psyche. Literally, that's what he could have done to prevent any of this. But it's almost like this whole thing gets set up so that he can have Psyche, but he can remain in the shadows and not really have to face his true feelings. Okay, so he goes around the world saying, nope, he makes divine people, gods and goddesses fall in love with each other. He makes humans fall in love with each other, but never the twain shall meet. Okay, yet here he is behind his mask, in love with a mortal. And he has essentially imprisoned her to be able to have access to her. But he's not giving Psyche full access to himself. This is a tremendous metaphor for what has been going on in a lot of relationships that I've seen come up in the tarot. She loves him, would do anything, but he's not seeing her value. He's not willing to admit that he really loves her, and he's keeping the whole thing in the shadows. Well, Psyche gets pregnant. Psyche gets pregnant. She says to herself, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to raise this baby with my husband, who I've never even seen his face? So one night, while her husband is sleeping, she still doesn't know his identity. She doesn't know it's Cupid. Okay. She brings an oil lamp into his room and holds it close to his face. And she sees it and she gasps. She realizes it's Cupid. And she gasps and he wakes up. He's startled. It's a tower moment, right? And she spills the hot oil on him and burns him terribly. And in that moment, he lashes out towards her. It's all of his repressed emotion made him act that way. She did not mean to hurt him. And if he could have just chilled the heck out and talked through the situation, they would have been fine. Okay? But what happened next, they would have missed out on. Okay? So what happens next is that's the moment, like Cupid can no longer hide from himself or from Psyche, his feelings, his true love for her, but also his true self and his true identity. And so he gets angry, he's hurt, and he says, this can't even happen. We are too different. I am a god, you are immortal. We are too different. You're not even my equal. He puts her down. And then, by the way, he has wings. He just flies away. He just ghosts. And leaves her brokenhearted. But guess what? This unseen voice, by the way, her spiritual gifts, Neptune energy. Spiritual gifts come to her and like, don't worry, Psyche. Actually, don't worry. This is a part of the plan. It's all going to work out. She's like, I don't see how. And the voice is just kind of like, well, just trust me. Trust me. So Psyche's going on with herself. Okay, she's got her spirit guides now. And Venus interjects into this situation and says, look, okay, I'm Cupid's mom, remember. And I can get you guys back together, but first I need you to accomplish these 3 tasks. And you know how gods and goddesses be like. They're just ridiculous tasks that are super, super duper hard to complete. But she does it. She does it almost always with divine assistance, supernatural aid. Ants come to her assistance in the first task. In the second one, it's like a river nymph or a river god. And in the last one, it is her inner voice tells her everything she needs to do to be ready to complete the task. And the task is she has to go into the underworld. She has to go into Pluto territory, deal with her subconscious. And when she comes out of that, she navigates that just fine because she listens to her inner voice. Okay? When she comes out of that situation, she realizes, like, I might have been born immortal, but look at me. I've got major goddess status. I am divine. Okay? So like, screw Cupid. If he thinks I'm not good enough for him, I know now that I am. I know now that I'm a freaking goddess. Psyche knows this. Psyche, by the way, is the name, it means soul. So this is the soul journey. This is the point that the divine feminine is at right now in conjunction with Neptune in Pisces. But where's Cupid at? At this point in the story, by the way, just this thing happens where she gets put to sleep. She's fallen asleep. Okay, so the divine feminine is resting up, recharging batteries, and in the story, Cupid just kind of swoops back in. He's like, "Oh crap, I was a jerk, and he comes and he swoops back in. But that is the moment that the divine masculine is at right now, and it's not so cut and dry. It's just like, oops, I did wrong. I'm going to go back and fix it. Okay? It was easy for Cupid to do because he was divine. But most of the masculines I know are humans, and they're bound by their egos. And that's what's making them very, very hard. It's making it hard for them to heal from their past pains, to realize where they may have been wrong, to have the nerve to say they're sorry. But what this aspect is doing right now, right? I mean, we know when you hear this story, you step back, you know Venus orchestrated this whole thing just to get her son the woman that he loved, to get them together. But she knew that she had to put Psyche through the kind of trials that would let her see herself as divine in order for them to truly be equals. Okay? So that's what's going on right now. All right? This is going on in relationships. It's going on within us. The masculine is realizing it like having to face the guilt and shame of knowing that they let down somebody that they loved. And then having to figure out, well, how do I come back and recover that? How do I set aside my pride? Is it even worth it? Is there even a chance? Okay. So there's a lot of energies going on. I'm really grateful that I was guided to that story because, stories are just kind of a fun way to really get a feel for what it is that we're going through, and also to understand this is not unique to you or me or him or her. We're all just, humanity has been trying to figure out the same things about themselves for thousands of years. Okay, so it's a reminder that the union of the divine feminine and the divine masculine in the mundane world requires the balance, the healing, the union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine in the 5D, in the spiritual world. So this is a time to come into contact, come into balance with the spiritual feminine in all of us. All right. What's difficult right now for the divine masculines is having to slow down and see things from this different perspective. The Emperor is kind of in a Hanged Man reverse moment because it's the Hanged Man energy, the Neptune energy, being able to just release control and see things from a higher perspective. That's what's difficult for the Emperor, and that's what the Emperor is resisting. But once he allows that to happen, you guys go check out my Instagram post, the daily draw for January 25th. By the way, happy new moon. I'm sorry, happy new lunar new year. And happy new moon. We got both those happening at once, okay? It's 3 cards from the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. And that's the kind of transformation we're all going through. Being able to view yourself with compassion and go through that healing process, putting yourself in touch with your emotions. That is a much more difficult process for masculines than it is for feminines, and that's what they're being faced with right now. But once they get through that, essentially, that's how they ascend into being divine, into being in alignment, into being a worthy partner for the Empress. Okay? So, if you are a masculine, I want you to allow yourself to feel compassion for yourself. Every time you feel anger, shame, guilt, replace it with compassion. Say, you know what? I was still learning then. I can't be mad at me. I have to see that with compassion. Okay? Be receptive to your intuitive gifts, to receiving messages in dreams, messages from spirit guides. Neptune is all about our relationship with the divine, whoever it is we interact it with. Who do you pray to? Who do you follow? Okay? Heal your inner divine masculine, but also apologize to your inner feminine for not allowing her to be expressed. Because what happens when you pull Cupid and you repress your real true feelings, when they come out in a way that can really, really hurt the other person, and that can just create a lot of chaos and disruption and destruction in your relationships. So heal that part of yourself, forgive that part of yourself, but get in touch with your warrior self and allow him to rest. Okay? Allow him to rest and recoup. If you're a feminine, be your goddess self. Sit in that energy. Maintain it. Because here's what happens if you focus only on the other person's healing. They get healed and then they go off and find somebody else that's healed. When you focus on your healing, then whether or not that other person heals, you are ready to be met by another healed person. Okay? Focus on your healing. Keep that goddess, that empress focus. Keep that hanged man energy. Tap into your moon space. Really also be open to receiving messages right now. Okay? But also, you're being encouraged to tap into your own divine masculine and understand that when you don't listen to your divine masculine, he's not able to protect you and help assist in your survival. Whereas if you allow him to completely take over, that can have its own consequences. All right. So come make peace between the soulmates within you. Your own divine masculine and feminine is what we're having an opportunity to do right now. If you are within a relationship, that's going to help keep that relationship balanced to the best of your ability, because you can't control your partner. You can only control your own energy, right? If you're in a connection that's in separation right now, that's going to keep that energy at a really high vibration and encourage the other person to do their own healing and their own ascension. Okay? If you're just single and doing your own thing, your own emperor thing, your own empress thing, this is an opportunity for you to really look at your past and your present practices and love and see whether or not they are in alignment with your highest ideals about what love means. Okay, so thank you guys so much for being here with me for this. I really hope it was helpful to you. Definitely like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment if you felt like something resonated. And as always, if you would like to book a personal reading with me with tarot or astrology, any other sort of spiritual guidance as well, that information can also be found in the description box. So thank